My son dropped his toy in the back seat, and then it started beeping. I figured the batteries were dying. At the garage, the mechanic took one glance at it. His hands trembled as he whispered, "Listen to me carefully, drive straight to the police station. Don't stop. Don't ask questions." What they pulled out of the toy made my blood run cold. My name is Sarah, and I used to be just another suburban mom, drowning in the beautiful chaos of daily life. But one mundane Tuesday morning, a tiny, innocent toy in my son's car seat started beeping, and that innocuous sound ripped my entire world to shreds. It was a discovery that didn't just change our lives, it shattered every single lie I believed in. The alarm, of course, didn't go off. Not on a Tuesday when Eric, my husband, was already gone, swallowed by another one of his mysterious pre-dawn meetings. I had precisely 37 minutes to transform my 6-year-old, Liam, a human tornado, into a presentable school child. "Liam, breakfast." I hollered upstairs, my voice already strained. My morning dance was a frantic ballet, searching for matching socks in the dryer, making toast with one hand, checking my phone with the other. A solo performance, even though, technically, I wasn't single. Eric had been a ghost lately, his presence in our house feeling more like an echo than a husband's embrace. "Mom, I can't find Mr. Blue." Liam's voice pierced the morning chaos. That specific pitch that meant a full-blown meltdown was exactly 3 seconds away. Mr. Blue, his beloved toy truck, had survived being buried in the sandbox, flung from the treehouse, and even that unfortunate incident with the toilet. I found it, as usual, wedged between the couch cushions, and tossed it to him as he thundered down the stairs, Spider-Man shirt on backward, only one shoe on his foot. "Got everything?" I asked, shoving toast into his hand, wrestling him into his jacket. "Backpack, lunch, Mr. Blue," he recited, clutching the truck like it was a sacred talisman. The drive to school started normally enough. Liam chattered excitedly about his upcoming show and tell, bringing his favorite toy, you guessed it, Mr. Blue. I half listened, navigating the morning traffic, NPR droning in the background about international tensions I simply didn't have the mental bandwidth to process. Then it happened. We were stopped at a red light on Maple Street when Liam dropped Mr. Blue. It clattered to the floor behind my seat, and the immediate whine started. I reached back, my fingers blindly searching until they found the familiar plastic edges. But as I pulled it up, I heard it. Beep, beep, beep. Soft, rapid, like a tiny electronic heartbeat. I held the truck up, scrutinizing it. The sound stopped. "Mom, the light's green," Liam chirped, pulling me back to reality. I tossed the truck back to him, pushing down the odd flutter of unease in my chest. Probably just a dying battery, I told myself. When was the last time we changed them? But the sound came again 5 minutes later. And again, when I was alone in the car after dropping Liam off. He'd forgotten Mr. Blue on the back seat in his rush to show a friend a dead beetle he'd found on the playground. Beep, beep, beep. I picked it up, turned it over. No battery compartment that I could see. Strange, I'd bought this truck myself from Target 6 months ago. Or had Eric. The memory was fuzzy. The beeping was regular now, sometimes fast, sometimes slower, a tiny, insistent pulse in my hand. By the time I pulled into Joe's auto shop, convinced it was something with the car's electronics interfering with the toy, my nerves were thoroughly frayed. Joe had been our mechanic for 15 years. He'd seen me through my first pregnancy, Eric's deployment, every automotive disaster in between. His shop smelled of motor oil and the peppermints he kept in a bowl on the counter. His smile always made me feel like everything would be okay. But not today. Today, when Joe glanced through my passenger window and saw Mr. Blue on the seat, his entire demeanor changed. The blood drained from his weathered face so fast, I thought he might faint. "Ma'am," he said, his voice barely above a whisper, "I need you to listen very carefully." My heart began to race, a frantic drum against my ribs. "Joe, what's wrong?" He picked up the toy with trembling hands, holding it like it might explode, which, as it turned out, wasn't far from the truth. "Don't panic," he said, which, of course, is exactly what you say when someone should absolutely panic. "But you need to drive straight to the police station. Don't stop. Don't go home. And whatever you do, Don't touch that toy again. Joe, you're scaring me. It's just my son, Sarah, please. His eyes held a raw fear I'd never seen before. Tell them Joe McClane sent you. Tell them about the device. Device? My mind reeled. I don't remember the drive to the police station. I know I called Eric 3 times, each call going straight to voicemail. I know my hands shook so badly I could barely grip the steering wheel. I know that damn toy kept beeping from the back seat, each sound making my skin crawl. The police station was a blur of uniforms and questions. Someone in a bomb squad suit arrived within minutes in our sleepy suburban town, where the biggest crime was usually teenagers shoplifting beer. They evacuated the parking lot. They called in specialists. They treated my Honda CR-V like it contained nuclear weapons. And maybe, in a way, it did, Mrs. Coleman. Detective Harrison said, for hours later, after they dissected Mr. Blue in a controlled environment. That toy contained a sophisticated transmitter and what appears to be a sealed pouch of an unknown substance. We're running tests. He paused, choosing his words with agonizing care. But this isn't amateur work. Whoever did this is training. Military or intelligence-level training. The room spun. Are you saying someone tried to hurt my son? I gasped, the air thin and cold. We don't know the intent yet. The device was transmitting on an encrypted frequency. The substance appears stable, but we won't know more until the lab results come back. He leaned forward, his eyes serious. Mrs. Coleman, I need you to think. Who gave your son that toy? I bought it. From Target, I think. Or maybe Eric. The memory was fuzzy, like trying to remember a dream. Your husband is Eric Coleman, former military. I nodded, a cold dread settling in my stomach. Eric never talked about his service. Said it was classified, boring technical stuff. But sometimes, late at night, I'd hear him mumbling in his sleep. Names. Coordinates. Apologies to people I'd never met. We'll need to speak with him, Detective Harrison said. I've been trying to call him. He's not answering. The detective and his partner exchanged a look that made my blood run cold. Eric finally called back at 7 p.m., 12 hours after I'd first tried to reach him. Liam was safe at my sister Rachel's house. I couldn't bear to bring him home. Not when I didn't know if our house was safe. Sarah, I just got your messages. What's going on? His voice was controlled. Too controlled. Someone put a bomb in Liam's toy. The words exploded out of me, raw and desperate. The police have been here all day. They're asking about you, about your service, and I don't know what to tell them because you never tell me anything. Silence. Long enough that I checked to make sure the call hadn't dropped. Don't talk to anyone else, he finally said. I'll handle it. Handle what, Eric? What the hell is going on? Just trust me. Please. I'm coming home. But he didn't come home. Not that night. Instead, Agent Mara Chan from Homeland Security showed up at my door at 10 p.m., looking like she'd stepped out of a spy movie with her severe black suit and an expression that could freeze water. Mrs. Coleman, we need to discuss your husband's activities. I don't know anything about my husband's activities, I said, exhaustion making me sharp. Apparently, I don't know anything about my husband at all. She studied me for a long moment. The device in your son's toy wasn't just dangerous. It was emitting a scrambled signal designed to communicate with a specific receiver. This wasn't personal, Mrs. Coleman. This was professional. What are you saying? I'm saying your husband may be involved in something much larger than you realize. When did you last access his computer? The question hung between us like a loaded gun. Because the truth was, I'd already looked. While waiting for him to call back, a creeping dread had pulled me into his office, his private space I usually respected. I opened his laptop. The password was Liam's birthday, like always. But what I found was a wormhole into another world, hidden in a folder labeled Tax Documents 2019. Emails under a name I didn't recognize, Marcus. Web conversations in code, talking about packages and deliveries, and something called Operation Nest. And one email, sent 3 days ago, that made my blood turn to ice. Asterisk, the package is with a boy. Wait for my signal. Asterisk, I hadn't told the police yet. Some primitive, protective instinct held me back. But Agent Chin was looking at me like she already knew. I think I said carefully, I need a lawyer. You need protection, she corrected. Your husband isn't who you think he is, Mrs. Coleman. And neither are the people he's involved with. I ran. Not from the law, I wasn't that stupid. But from my house, from the life I thought I knew. I packed a bag, grabbed the laptop, and drove to Rachel's house at midnight. She took one look at my face and pulled me inside without asking questions. He's been lying to me, I whispered, collapsing on her couch while Liam slept upstairs, blissfully unaware that his world was crumbling. Our whole marriage, our whole life, it's all been a lie. Rachel held me while I sobbed, then did what she always did. She got practical. Her husband, Tom, was a tech consultant, the kind of guy who understood the dark corners of the internet. Within an hour, he'd found things that made my discoveries look like nursery rhymes. Your husband's military record is mostly redacted, Tom said, his laptop screen reflecting in his glasses. But there are traces, references to Prague, 2015, a joint operation that went sideways. 3 agents dead. 1 survivor. Eric was in Afghanistan in 2015, I said, my voice barely a whisper, trying to cling to the reality I knew. Tom and Rachel exchanged glances. According to this, Tom continued, his voice grim, Eric Coleman was reported Kia in Afghanistan in 2015, then miraculously resurrected 6 months later with a medical discharge and full honors. The room tilted. What? Sarah, Rachel said gently, what if Eric Coleman actually did die in Afghanistan? What if the man you married is? Stop. I couldn't hear it. Couldn't process it. Just stop. But the evidence kept mounting. Tom found more hidden email accounts, more coded messages, references to weapon smuggling, encrypted intelligence. Things that belonged in spy novels, not in my suburban life. By the way, if you're still with me, soaking up these absolutely wild revelations, make sure to hit that subscribe button. You won't want to miss what else is coming. ***. Then Eric showed up at Rachel's door at 2 a.m. He looked wrong. Disheveled. Desperate. Nothing like the controlled man I'd married. Liam heard his voice and came running down the stairs in his dinosaur pajamas, launching himself into Eric's arms. Daddy, Mom said you were at work. Eric held him tight, his eyes meeting mine over Liam's head. Hey, buddy. Yeah, just had some things to take care of. Rachel had the presence of mind to start recording on her phone, hidden behind her back. Liam, why don't you go back to bed? I said, my voice surprisingly steady. Daddy and I need to talk. Go on, sport, Eric said, setting him down. I'll come say goodnight in a minute. Once Liam was upstairs, the temperature in the room dropped 20 degrees. They're watching me, Eric said without preamble. They have been for months. I thought I could handle it, keep you both out of it, but you let them use our son as a mule. My voice was deadly quiet. He flinched. I didn't know about the toy. I swear, Sarah. I didn't know they'd go that far. Who are they? People I used to work with. People who think I have something that belongs to them. Do you? He didn't answer, which was answer enough. Get out, I said. Get out and don't come back. Sarah, get out. He left, but not before pressing something into my hand. A small drive, no bigger than my thumbnail. If something happens to me, he whispered, his eyes hollow. This is your insurance. Hide it. Don't look at it unless you have no other choice. The next morning, Tom found something else. Hidden in the seam of Liam's backpack, so small it was almost invisible, another tracker. Active. Transmitting our location every 30 seconds. We'd been running, but they'd been watching the whole time. Then the envelope arrived, slid under Rachel's door while we were all in the kitchen. No postmark, no signature, just 5 words that changed everything. Ask your husband about Prague. The truth about Prague came in pieces, each more horrifying than the last. It started with Detective Harrison, who'd managed to get partial access to Eric's classified files. He came to Rachel's house personally, his face grim. Mrs. Coleman, your husband was part of a black ops unit that officially doesn't exist. In 2015, they were running an operation in Prague, recovering stolen military intelligence that was being sold to the highest bidder. But he was in Afghanistan, I repeated, clinging to the lie like a life raft. His unit's cover was a deployment to Afghanistan, but they were actually in Prague when everything went wrong. Someone on the inside sold them out. 3 agents were tortured and killed. Your husband was the only survivor. How? Harrison hesitated. That's where things get complicated. There were rumors he made a deal, traded information for his life, but nothing was ever proven. Rachel's journalist friend, Danny, dug deeper. He found an archived article from a Czech newspaper buried in their digital archives. The headline, translated, "For bodies found in warehouse. Authorities suspect organized crime." But Danny had sources. People who knew the real story. They weren't just recovering intelligence. Danny told us over an encrypted video call. They were stealing it back from someone who'd already bought it. Someone very powerful, very connected. And that someone has been looking for your husband ever since. Why no? I asked, confused. It's been almost 10 years. Because something changed recently. My source says someone leaked Eric's new identity 6 months ago. His location, his family, everything. 6 months ago. Right around the time Eric started acting strange, working late, being distant. The puzzle pieces clicked into a terrifying picture. I confronted him at a neutral location, a public park where Liam could play while we talked. Rachel and Tom waited in their car, ready to grab Liam if things went bad. I need the truth, I said. All of it. Eric looked older than his 38 years, worn down by secrets and lies. The truth will destroy us. We're already destroyed. He watched Liam on the swings for a long moment. My name isn't Eric Coleman. It's Ethan Marks. Eric Coleman was my best friend. He died in Afghanistan, saving my life. When Prague happened, when I needed to disappear, I took his identity. No one knew Eric was dead except our handler. It was perfect, until it wasn't. The earth shifted beneath my feet. So, our marriage license, Liam's birth certificate, all legal? Technically. Eric Coleman exists. I just became him. And Prague. His jaw tightened. We were recovering plans for a new weapon system. But when we got there, we realized we'd been set up. The intelligence was fake, but the trap was real. They knew everything. Our routes, our extraction plan, our safe houses. Someone on our side sold us out. Who? I never found out for sure, but I had suspicions. That's why I kept the real intelligence. I stared at him. You have it? Had it? I hid it years ago, but they think I still have access to it. That's why they used Liam. They were trying to force my hand. The drive you gave me is part of it. The key to decrypt the rest. But without the actual files, it's useless. Where are the files? He smiled sadly. Remember our first date? You said you wanted to see where I grew up. I remembered. He'd taken me to an old cemetery in Virginia, said his parents were buried there. We'd had a picnic between the headstones, which should have been morbid but was somehow romantic. Eric Coleman is buried there, he said. The real Eric. And with him, he didn't need to finish. Agent Chin appeared as if summoned, her approach silent and professional. Mr. Marks, she said, using his real name like a weapon. We need to talk. The interrogation lasted 6 hours. I watched from behind one-way glass as my husband, or the man I thought was my husband, laid out a decade of lies. The weapon plans were real, but they were more than just blueprints. They included blackmail material on dozens of government officials, both American and foreign. Career-ending, prison sentence guaranteeing information. Someone in our government wanted that information buried, Eric or Ethan explained. But someone else wanted to sell it. I was caught in the middle, so I ran. I became Eric Coleman and tried to build a normal life. But you kept the files, Chin said, her eyes unwavering. Insurance. I knew they'd find me eventually. And now they have. The real shock came when they pulled up Rachel's name in their system. She'd been flagged years ago as a person of interest because of her journalism work. When Eric started dating me, her sister, Homeland Security, had approached her. They asked me to keep an eye on him, Rachel admitted, tears streaming down her face. Just to report if anything seemed strange. They said it was for national security, that he might be a sleeper agent. I thought I was protecting you. You were spying on us? Not spying, just watching, making sure he wasn't dangerous. But then Liam was born and you were so happy and I stopped reporting. I told them he was clean, just a normal suburban dad, until the toy. She nodded miserably. When I saw that truck beeping, I knew something had activated. Old protocols, maybe? I panicked. The betrayals kept stacking up like bodies in a morgue. My husband wasn't my husband. My sister was an informant. My son had been used as an unwitting courier. And somewhere out there, people with guns and grudges were still watching, waiting. Owen appeared at the worst possible moment. We were at a motel 2 towns over, trying to figure out our next move. Eric had agreed to turn himself in, to make a deal with Chan for our protection. I was packing what little we had when the knock came. Eric looked through the peephole and went white. It's Owen Fitzgerald. Who? My handler from Prague. He's supposed to be dead. Owen didn't wait for an invitation. The door splintered under his boot, and suddenly the room was full of men with guns. Not official. Not government. Mercenaries. Hello, Ethan, Owen said pleasantly, like we were at a dinner party. Been a while. You sold us out in Prague. I made a better deal. Capitalism at its finest. He turned to me, and his smile made my skin crawl. Mrs. Marks, or do you prefer Coleman? I have a proposition. Your husband has something I want. You're going to help me get it. Go to hell. He pulled out his phone, showed me a video. Liam at Rachel's house, playing in the backyard. The timestamp was 20 minutes ago. Amazing what a good, long-range camera can capture, Owen said. Now, about that proposition, Eric lunged for him. But Owen's men were faster. They had him on the ground, a gun to his head, before I could scream. Here's what's going to happen, Owen continued as if we were negotiating a business deal. You're going to retrieve the files from Eric's friend's grave. You're going to decrypt them using whatever key Ethan gave you. And then you're going to hand everything over to me. Or little Liam has an accident. Tragic, really. Children and playground equipment. Such a dangerous combination. If you touch him, I won't have to if you cooperate. He checked his watch. You have 24 hours. My men will be watching. Don't try to run. Don't contact the authorities. Just get me those files. After they left, Eric and I sat in the wreckage of the motel room, both trembling. We have to do what he says, I whispered, my voice raw. If we give him those files, dozens of people will die. The information in there, it'll start wars, Sarah. I don't care about wars, I cried, pulling away from him. I care about our son. He pulled me close, and for a moment, I let him. Despite everything, the lies, the false identity, the danger he brought into our lives, he was still the man who'd held my hand through labor, who'd taught Liam to ride a bike, who'd slow danced with me in our kitchen to no music at all. There's another way, he said finally. But it's dangerous. More dangerous than this. We give him the files, but corrupted. Damaged enough that it'll take time to realize they're useless. Time enough for Chin to find him. And if he figures it out? Eric's silence was answer enough. We drove to Virginia that night, to the cemetery where the real Eric Coleman lay buried. The headstone was simple, Eric Coleman, beloved son, faithful soldier. No dates, no details. Just another dead soldier in a field of dead soldiers. Eric, my Eric, Ethan, whoever he was, dug with his bare hands in the darkness, tears streaming down his face. He saved my life in Afghanistan. Took a bullet meant for me. Died in my arms. Taking his name. I thought I was honoring him. You were hiding. Yeah, that too. The files were in a waterproof container, buried 3 feet down. Memory cards, each smaller than a quarter, containing enough secrets to bring down governments. This is what they killed 3 good men for, Eric said, holding them up to the moonlight. This is what's going to get us killed, too. Not if we're smart. We worked through the night, corrupting files, changing data, creating a believable but ultimately useless package. Eric knew enough about the structure to make it look real, at least at first glance. It'll fool them for maybe 48 hours, he said. Then Owen will know we played him. 48 hours for Chen to find us. If she was even looking. The handoff was set for noon the next day, at a rest stop on I-95. Public. Lots of witnesses. Cameras everywhere. Owen might be many things, but he wasn't stupid enough to murder us in broad daylight. Or so we hoped. I held the drives in my hand, feeling their weight. Not physical, but metaphorical. These tiny pieces of plastic and silicon had destroyed so many lives, including ours. Ready? Eric asked. I thought about Liam, safe at Rachel's house with federal agents watching. I thought about the life we'd built on lies, now crumbling to dust. I thought about the future, uncertain and frightening. Let's end this. But endings, I was learning, were never that simple. Not when you're caught between international intelligence agencies, mercenaries, and the crushing weight of your own choices. Owen was waiting at the rest stop, casual as could be, just another traveler stretching his legs. He smiled when he saw us, that same reptilian expression that made my skin crawl. The loving couple, he said. How touching. I held out the drives. Everything's here. The files, the decryption key, all of it. He took them, examined them with a device he pulled from his pocket. It beeped green. Excellent. See how easy that was? Now, leave us alone, Eric demanded. Oh, I'm afraid it doesn't work that way. Owen's smile widened. You see, you know too much, both of you. And that adorable little boy of yours, well, children talk, don't they? The gun appeared in his hand so fast, I didn't see him draw it. But he didn't count on Joe. Joe McLean, my mechanic, the one who'd recognized the device in the toy. He was there, a baseball bat in his hand, bringing it down on Owen's arm with a crack that echoed across the rest stop. The gun went flying. Run! Joe shouted. We ran. Through the parking lot, past startled travelers, into the woods behind the rest stop. We could hear Owen screaming orders, his men converging, and then the helicopters arrived. Agent Chin, it turned out, had been watching all along. Owen and his team were surrounded before they could pursue us, federal agents appearing from vehicles we hadn't even noticed. Mrs. Coleman, Chin said, finding us huddled behind a maintenance shed. Or should I say, Mrs. Marks? We need to talk about those files you just gave Owen. They're corrupted, I admit it. Useless. She smiled, the first time I'd seen any expression on her face. I know. We corrupted the real files 3 years ago, right after we figured out where they were. What Owen just bought were our modifications. You knew this whole time? Eric gasped. We've been watching your husband since Prague. We knew someone would come for him eventually. You and your son were never in real danger. We had agents on you the entire time. I wanted to be relieved. I wanted to be angry. Instead, I was just tired. So, what now? Eric asked. Now, Mr. Marks, you have a choice. Federal prison for identity theft and a dozen other charges. Or, you work for us. Officially this time. Your knowledge of these organizations is invaluable. And my family? Chin looked at me, then at the photo of Liam on my phone screen. They'll be protected. New identities, if you want them. Or you can try to rebuild your life as the Colemans. Your choice. It wasn't much of a choice, but it was more than we'd had an hour ago. The federal safe house was a lie, just like everything else in my life. Agent Chin had promised protection while they processed Owen and his team. But 12 hours later, our guardians simply vanished. No explanation, no warning, just empty coffee cups and the lingering smell of cigarette smoke where the agents had been stationed. We need to go, Eric said, already throwing our meager possessions into a bag. Now where? We have no money, no car. Chin froze everything. He pulled out a phone I'd never seen before. I kept one backup they don't know about. And there's cash hidden in. The window exploded. Not from a bullet, but from a flashbang grenade that left us blind and deaf, stumbling in the smoke. When my vision cleared, Owen was standing in the doorway, very much not in federal custody. Did you really think Chin worked for who she said she did? He laughed, the sound distorted through my damaged hearing. She's been my asset for 3 years. This whole operation, letting you think you were protected, it was just to get you comfortable enough to hand over the real files. We gave you the files. Eric gasped, blood running from his ear. You gave me garbage. Corrupted data that triggered every alarm in my system. He pulled out a tablet, showing streams of code I didn't understand. But Chen's people found something interesting when they searched your house. Hidden in your son's other toys, Microdrives you probably didn't even know were there. My blood froze. You're lying. Am I? Blue truck, red plane, green dinosaur. Each one carrying a piece of the puzzle. Your husband was cleverer than he knew, fragmenting the data across multiple carriers. Or maybe someone else was clever, using him. Eric lunged at him, but Owen's men were ready this time. They didn't just subdue him, they broke his arm with clinical efficiency, the crack echoing through the room. His scream tore through me like shrapnel. Stop. I begged. Please. We have a son. Yes, Liam. 6 years old, currently at your sister's house. Room at the end of the hall. Dinosaur nightlight. Sleeps with a stuffed elephant named Peanut. Every detail was a threat, a promise of how easily they could reach him. What do you want? The real files. All of them. And I know you know where they are, Mrs. Marks. Your husband might have hidden them, but you're the one who's been protecting them without even knowing it. He showed me another screen, security footage from our house, dated 3 years ago. I was pregnant with Liam, decorating the nursery. Eric was installing something in the walls. What I thought was insulation. He turned your entire house into a server, Owen explained. The files aren't hidden somewhere. They're everywhere. In the walls, the foundation, even in the paint. Microscopic storage devices that form a network when activated. Brilliant, really. I looked at Eric, who couldn't meet my eyes. You turned our home into a weapon? Into a vault, he corrected weakly. To keep us safe. It made us targets. Owen checked his watch. Touching as this marital drama is, we have work to do. You're going to go back to that house, activate the network, and download everything onto these. He held up a set of drives. Any deviation, any attempt to contact anyone, and Liam has an accident. The house is probably being watched by my people now. Chin pulled the FBI surveillance 6 hours ago. Told them the threat was neutralized. His smile was cold. She's very good at her job. They gave us a car, a handler named Marcus, who wore violence barely contained. For 12 agonizing hours, the drive home was silent, except for Eric's labored breathing. They'd refused medical attention for his broken arm. I'm sorry, he whispered as we pulled into our neighborhood. Everything looked so normal. Kids playing in yards, sprinklers running, life continuing as if our world hadn't ended. Save it. Our house was exactly as we'd left it days ago, down to Liam's cereal bowl still on the kitchen table. It broke my heart, this museum of our former life. How do we activate it? I asked. Eric led me to Liam's room, each step obviously agony. Remember when we painted this room? You wanted blue. I insisted on green. You said green was more soothing. I said that because the specific shade contained the activation trigger. He pressed his palm against the wall, held it for 30 seconds. Nothing visible happened, but he nodded. It's starting. The whole house is waking up. How long? For hours to fully compile. Then another hour to transfer. Marcus was in the doorway, gun visible. You have 5 hours total. Make it work. We sat in Liam's room, surrounded by his toys and books, while invisible data streams flowed through the walls around us. I picked up his stuffed elephant, Peanut, and held it tight. Tell me the truth, I said to Eric. All of it. No more lies. So he did. The Prague operation had been about more than weapons. It was about a kill switch, a program that could shut down entire power grids, defense systems, even satellites. The kind of thing that could win wars without firing a shot. Every major government wanted it. Most didn't even know it existed. We were supposed to destroy it, Eric said. But our handler, Owen, wanted to sell it. When the team refused, he had us ambushed, tortured, killed. But you survived. Because I made a deal. Not with Owen, with the people who created the kill switch in the first place. I told them I'd hide it where no one would ever think to look. In plain sight. In suburban America. In the walls of a normal family home. Our home. I thought if I could just live quietly, raise our family, it would stay hidden forever. But then someone leaked my location and everyone came looking. Who leaked it? He was quiet for so long I thought he wouldn't answer. Then, I think I did. Accidentally. When I searched for the real Eric Coleman's military records online. I wanted to make sure our cover was solid, but you let them write to us. The irony was bitter. His paranoia had created the very danger he tried to avoid. 3 hours in, something went wrong. The data stream stopped. The subtle hum in the walls going silent. Marcus was on us immediately. What happened? I don't know. The system just stopped responding. Fix it. I can't fix what I don't understand. Eric snapped, then screamed as Marcus grabbed his broken arm. Try harder. I was still holding Peanut when I felt it. A small, hard square in the elephant's stuffing. My fingers found a hidden seam, and inside, another drive. Tiny. Unmarked. Eric saw my face change. Sarah? I palmed the drive, thinking fast. The system needs a secondary authorization. It's programmed to recognize Liam's toys. The ones he plays with most. It was a lie, but a plausible one. Marcus bought it. Then get them. I gathered Liam's favorites, the ones he'd had longest, loved most, including Mr. Blue, or what was left of him after the bomb squad's dissection. As I arranged them, I slipped the drive from Peanut into my pocket. The system restarted, but I'd bought us something precious. Time to think. At hour 4, the download was complete. 5 drives full of secrets that could destabilize the world. Marcus was already on the phone with Owen, confirming the transfer. Excellent work. Owen's voice came through the speaker. Kill them both. Wait, I said quickly. There's a failsafe. If we don't check in every 12 hours, the real files, the complete ones, automatically upload to every major news outlet in the world. Silence. Then Owen laughed. You're lying. Check file 47B. 3rd section, 19th line. More silence as they verified. I had no idea what was in that file, but Eric's sharp intake of breath told me I'd guessed right. There was something there that could be interpreted as a dead man switch. Clever, Owen admitted. But you're forgetting. I have your son's location. And I have a drive you don't know about, I said, pulling out the one from Peanut. The master key. Without it, those files you just downloaded will self-corrupt in 72 hours. Eric stared at me. He hadn't known about it either. You're bluffing. Then call my bluff. Kill us. See what happens to your precious data. Long pause. Then, bring me the drive. You have 1 hour. After Marcus left to coordinate the meetup, Eric grabbed me. Sarah, that drive. I don't know what it is, but it was hidden in Peanut and you didn't put it there, did you? No. I didn't even know. His face went white. Oh God. Rachel. What? She gave Liam that elephant for his first birthday. Said it was special. Ordered it from some boutique place. My sister. My sister, who'd been watching us for the government. My sister, who'd been trying to protect us, or so she claimed. I called her, my hand shaking. Sarah, are you okay? The agents here said, did you put something in Peanut? Silence. Rachel, did you put a drive in Liam's elephant? I was trying to protect you, she whispered. They told me Eric had hidden something dangerous. They said if I could find it and remove it, you'd all be safe. So, I created a backup. A copy of everything in case the worst happened. You copied the kill switch. I copied everything I could find. I thought it was insurance. Insurance that had just saved our lives, or condemned us. I couldn't tell which. The warehouse Owen chose for the exchange had a poetic cruelty to it, the same company that had shipped Eric's unit's equipment to Prague, though Owen probably didn't know that. Or maybe he did. With him, every detail felt like a twisted message. I need to show you something, Eric said as we drove, Marcus following in another car. He directed me to pull over at a strip mall, claimed he needed a bathroom. Marcus didn't like it, but let him go. Eric came back with a burner phone from the electronics store. Called Chin. She's working with Owen. No, she's not. Think about it. If she was really Owen's asset, why the elaborate charade? Why not just grab us from the start? He was right. None of it made sense unless. She's using us as bait. Call her. Chin answered on the first ring. Mrs. Marks, I was wondering when you'd figure out. You let Owen take us. I let Owen think he took you. We've been tracking everything. Every download, every transfer. He's not just getting the files. He's leaving digital fingerprints all over them. We're not bait. We're the trap. You catch on quick. The drive from the elephant. Don't give it to him. If I don't, he'll kill us. If you do, he'll kill you anyway. But more importantly, that drive contains something we didn't know existed. The identities of every foreign asset who's purchased information from Owen's network. 5 years of treasonous activity. All documented by your protective sister Rachel. In trying to spy on us, she had accidentally gathered evidence on one of the largest intelligence trafficking operations in history. Stall him, Chin said. We need 6 more hours. We don't have 6 hours. But she'd already hung up. The warehouse was exactly what you'd expect. Abandoned. Isolated. Probably full of places to hide bodies. Owen was waiting with a full team, maybe 20 men. No way out except through them. The drive, he said, hand extended. I held it up but didn't move. First, I want guarantees. Written. Witnessed. Notarized. That you'll leave my family alone. You're hardly in a position to negotiate. I'm in the only position that matters. I have what you want. He smiled, that reptilian smile. You know what your problem is, Sarah? You still think this is about the files, the weapons data, the kill switch, isn't it? Oh, my dear, it's about so much more. He pulled out a tablet, showed me a photo. It was Eric in Prague, but younger, standing next to another man. Recognize him? I shook my head. That's Pavel Volov. Russian intelligence. Also Eric's handler before he became Eric. The ground shifted under my feet. What? Eric's face was stone. It's not what you think. Ethan Marks was a double agent, Owen continued, clearly enjoying himself. Recruited right out of college. The Prague operation wasn't about recovering stolen intelligence. It was about stealing it in the first place. For the Russians. You're lying. Am I? Ask him about the account in Moscow. The apartment in St. Petersburg. The handler he met every month for 3 years. I looked at Eric, Ethan, whoever he was. His silence was deafening. The mission went wrong because I found out, Owen said. I tried to stop it, tried to save my team, but Ethan here made sure they died to protect his secret. That's not true. Eric exploded. You were selling to everyone. Russians, Chinese, whoever paid most. I was undercover, trying to expose you. Were you? Then why did you run? Why hide instead of reporting in? Because I didn't know who to trust. Half the agency was compromised. You had people everywhere. So you decided to keep the files yourself. How noble. They were both lying. Or both telling the truth. I couldn't tell anymore. And maybe it didn't matter. All that mattered was getting out alive. The drive, I said, my voice steady despite the tremor in my hands, contains more than you think. Rachel didn't just copy the files. She documented everything, including your meetings, Owen. Your contacts. Your bank accounts. His smile faltered. Apparently, she's a journalist. Investigation is what she does. And she's been watching all of us for 3 years. I pulled out the burner phone, showed him a video file. Rachel's insurance sent to me an hour ago. It showed Owen meeting with someone I didn't recognize, exchanging briefcases like a bad spy movie. That's Senator Morrison, Eric breathed. He's on the Intelligence Committee. Owen's face went cold. You've just signed your death warrant. No, I've signed yours. This video and a dozen others are set to upload unless I enter a code every hour. Kill us and your entire network gets exposed. It was a bluff. Rachel's videos were real, but there was no dead man's switch. Just desperation and hope that greed would outweigh violence. Owen considered for a long moment, then he laughed. You know what? Keep it. All of it. We stared at him. The world's changing, Mrs. Marks. Information isn't power anymore. Chaos is. And what better chaos than releasing everything? Every secret, every lie, every dirty deal. Let the governments fall. Let the wars begin. I'll profit either way. He signaled his men. Kill them. Make it look like a murder-suicide. Husband couldn't live with his lies. Wife couldn't live with the betrayal. The gunshots came from outside. Not at us. At Owen's men. The warehouse erupted in chaos as tactical teams flooded in from every entrance. But these weren't Chen's people. The uniforms were different. The language. Russian. Special Forces. Eric. I breathed. How? Pavel Volov walked through the smoke like a ghost from Prague. Older, grayer, but unmistakably the man from the photo. Hello, Ethan, he said in accented English. It's time to come home. I'm not. I was never really, weren't you? You took our training, our money, our trust. That makes you ours. I was undercover. For whom? CIA thinks you're dead. FSB thinks you're theirs. And I think, Volov smiled. You're whoever pays best. Owen tried to run. Volov's men cut him down before he reached the door. Not killed. Kneecapped. Screaming. The files, Volov said to me. All of them. Or your son learns his father's real history. Every dirty detail. She doesn't have them all. Eric said quickly. Very problematic. He gestured, and his men grabbed us both. We're going for a ride. But Chen's teams arrived before we reached the vehicles. The warehouse became a battlefield. Russians versus Americans, with us caught in the middle. In the chaos, I saw our chance. Run. I grabbed Eric's good arm, pulling him toward a loading dock. We made it 3 steps before the explosion. Not a grenade this time. The warehouse itself, rigged to blow. Owen's final insurance policy. The ceiling came down in sheets of flame and metal. The floor buckling under us. I came to in the rubble. Ears ringing. Blood in my eyes. Eric was unconscious beside me. Breathing, but barely. Owen was crawling toward us, his legs ruined, but determination intact. If I can't have them, he gasped, reaching for his gun. No one can. Joe McLean hit him with a tire iron. My mechanic. My savior. Standing there, covered in dust and blood, but alive. Figured you might need help, he said, pulling me to my feet. Been following since you left the house. Old habit from my Marine days. Joe, we need to go. This whole place is coming down. We dragged Eric out, Owen left behind in the collapsing warehouse. Outside was chaos. Russians fighting Americans. Local cops arriving and adding to the confusion. In the mess, we slipped away in Joe's truck. Where, Joe? I thought about the drive in my pocket. The files in Eric's hidden network. The truth scattered across so many lies. The cemetery, I said. Where it all started. The real Eric Coleman's grave looked different in daylight. Peaceful. Honest. In a way nothing else in our lives had been. Agent Chen found us there, alone this time. No backup. No weapons drawn. Just tired. Volov's dead, she said. Owen too. The warehouse collapsed, killed 14 operatives from 3 different countries. Good, I said, and meant it. The files. I held out the drive from Peanut. Everything's on here. Rachel's documentation, the kill switch, all of it. She took it carefully. And the network in your house? Eric lied smoothly. Destroyed. The download corrupted it. Chen studied us for a long moment. You know, I could arrest you both. Espionage. Treason. Identity theft. The list is extensive. But a trial would expose things better left buried. And you have a son who needs parents. She pocketed the drive. Eric Coleman died in Afghanistan. His widow, Sarah, and their son, Liam, are moving for a fresh start after a tragic gas leak destroyed their home. Insurance will cover everything. And Ethan Marks never existed. Just another ghost story from Prague. 6 months later, the diner in Cedar Falls, Iowa, served the best pie in 3 counties and asked no questions about your past. Perfect for a widow and her son starting over after tragedy. I was refilling coffee for the morning rush when the bell chimed and a familiar face walked in. Not Eric. He was in federal prison, serving 3 years for identity theft. They needed to convict him of something to make the story clean. But Agent Chen had arranged minimum security, and Liam thought his dad was working on a special project for the government, which wasn't entirely a lie. It was Rachel. She looked older, tired. House arrest. Had ended a month ago, but the guilt she carried was a life sentence. Hi, she said, sliding into a booth. I poured her coffee without asking. The sisters know these things. How's Liam? Good. He likes his new school, made friends, doesn't wake up scared anymore. That's good. We sat in silence, the weight of everything between us. I got all your letters, I finally said. I just wasn't ready to respond. I understand. Do you? Because I don't. I don't understand how you could spy on us. How you could put that drive in my son's toy. How you could love you enough to try to protect you, even if it meant betraying you. The words hung there. Painful and true. The drive saved our lives, I admit it. And almost got you killed. Everything almost got us killed. She pulled out an envelope, slid it across. From Eric. They let him send one letter a month. This one's for Liam. I took it, feeling the familiar weight of his handwriting through the paper. Are you going to let him read it? When he's older. When he can understand that sometimes good people do bad things for complicated reasons. Is that what we are? Good people. I thought about it. We're people who survived. That has to count for something. Rachel left after one cup, knowing not to push, but she'd be back next month and the month after. We were rebuilding, brick by careful brick. That evening, Liam and I had our usual routine. Dinner. Homework. One TV show. Then bed. Normal. Blessed normal. He was brushing his teeth when he asked, "Mom, when's Dad coming home?" "Couple more years, baby." "Will things be different when he comes back?" I knelt down to his level. "Yeah, they'll be different. But different doesn't mean bad. Sometimes it just means new." He considered this with 6-year-old seriousness. Like how we're different now, but still okay? Exactly like that. That night, after he was asleep, I sat on the porch of our little rental house and opened Eric's letter. Not the one for Liam. One he'd hidden in the envelope just for me. Asterisk Sarah, I know I have no right to ask for forgiveness. The lies I told, the danger I brought, it's unforgivable. But I need you to know that loving you and Liam was the only true thing I did in a decade of deception. Chin tells me you're safe. That you're building a new life. Good. Build it strong. Build it honest. Build it without looking over your shoulder. I'm learning who I am without the lies. It's harder than I expected. Ethan Marks. Eric Coleman. Neither feels real anymore. Maybe when I get out, I can finally be just me. Whoever that is. The prison library has a woodworking program. I'm making Liam a toy truck. No electronics. No secrets. Just wood and paint and love. Tell me they let me send it for his birthday. Thank you for not telling him the whole truth. Let him have a few more years of believing his father is just complicated, not compromised. All my love, the man you married. Whoever he was. Asterisk, I burned the letter. Watched the smoke disappear into the Iowa sky. The past had to stay buried for Liam's sake. 3 days later, a package arrived with no return address. Inside was a wooden toy truck, painted blue like Mr. Blue, but somehow different. Safer. A note was tucked underneath. Asterisk, no beeping this time. Just play. Asterisk, I should have thrown it away. Should have been suspicious, paranoid, careful. Instead, I gave it to Liam. He played with it for hours, making engine noises, creating adventures. Normal kid stuff. I watched from the kitchen, waiting for something to go wrong, for some hidden danger to reveal itself. Nothing happened. Sometimes, nothing happening is the best gift of all. 1 year later, the news called it the intelligence leak of a century. Someone anonymous, untraceable, had released selective files from the Prague incident. Not enough to start wars, but enough to end careers. 17 government officials across 6 countries resigned. 3 major defense contractors were investigated. Owen's network was dismantled piece by piece. I knew who'd done it. The digital fingerprints were subtle but familiar. The same style as the hidden network in our old house's walls. Eric might be in prison, but his reach was longer than anyone knew. Chin visited that day, sitting in my diner booth like an old friend. You know anything about this? She asked, gesturing at the newspaper headlines. I'm just a waitress in Iowa, right? And the fact that every released file carefully avoids mentioning you, Liam, or Eric is just coincidence. Must be. She smiled. A real smile this time. He's being released early. Good behavior. Plus some strings I pulled. 6 months. My heart stuttered, but I kept my face neutral. That's nice. You going to take him back? I don't know if there's a back to take. We're different people now. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have. Chen left a $100 tip for a $5 coffee. For Liam's college fund, she said. That night, I told Liam his dad would be home for Christmas. He was excited but cautious, old enough now to understand that promises sometimes break. Will he be different? He asked. We all will be. But still family. Always family. Just a different kind. 2 years later, I didn't pick him up from prison. Joe did that. Said it was easier, less emotional. They pulled up to the house just as the sun was setting. Everything golden and possible. Eric had lost weight, gained gray hair. Prison had carved new lines in his face, but his eyes were clearer than I'd ever seen them. No lies left to hide behind. Liam hung back at first, suddenly shy with this stranger who was his father. Then Eric pulled out something. A wooden toy plane he'd made, painted red like Liam's old one. I'm getting too old for toys, Liam said, but he took it anyway. Maybe, but I needed to make it. To prove I could build something that was just what it seemed. They went inside together, talking about school and sports and nothing important. Everything important. Eric and I stood on the porch. Two people who'd been married for 10 years but were meeting for the first time. I don't know how to do this, he admitted. Neither do I. Chin says you kept the house network inactive but intact. That you could have sold that information a dozen times over, but didn't. It's insurance. For Liam. In case the past comes calling again. Will it? Chin doesn't think so. Most of the players are dead or imprisoned. The few left have bigger problems than us. And Rachel. She visits monthly. Liam loves her. I'm working on it. He nodded, understanding that forgiveness was a process, not a moment. I got a job, he said. Chin arranged it. Legitimate cybersecurity firm. They know my history, the official version anyway. I start Monday. Somewhere close enough to visit. Far enough to give you space. You're not staying. Not unless you ask me to. And not until you're ready. If you're ever ready. That night, we had dinner as a family. Awkward. Careful. But family nonetheless. Liam showed Eric his room, his grades, his drawings. Normal kid things that felt miraculous after everything we'd lost. After Liam went to bed, Eric stood to leave. You could stay, I said, on the couch. It's late. And Joe's probably asleep. Is that what you want? I don't know what I want. But I know Liam would like to have breakfast with you. And maybe we start there. Breakfast. See what happens. He slept on the couch. I lay awake, listening to him breathe, remembering when that sound meant safety. Maybe it could again. Someday. 3 years later, the letter came on a Tuesday. Official government seal and all. The Prague files were being permanently sealed. All records destroyed. We were being given new identities, not forced, but offered. A complete fresh start if we wanted it. What do you think? Eric asked. We were having coffee in my kitchen. Not living together yet, but working toward it. Twice weekly dinners, family outings, careful rebuilding. I think Liam's happy here. He has friends, a life. I have the diner. You have your job. So, we stay Coleman. We stay us, whoever that is. That evening, Liam came home with a permission slip for a school trip to Washington, D.C. museums, monuments, normal 8th grade stuff. Can I go? He asked. I thought about the city where everything had started, where agents still worked, where the graves of our former lives were buried. Sure, I said, signing the form. Just promise to be careful. Mom, it's a school trip. What could happen? Eric and I exchanged glances over his head. What could happen indeed? That night, I burned the government letter. We were done running from the past, done hiding from the future. We were just the Colemans. A complicated family with a strange history that no one would ever fully know. Liam was in his room talking to friends on the phone, laughing about something ridiculous. Normal teenage stuff. Eric was fixing the kitchen sink, cursing at the pipes. Normal dad stuff. I was planning tomorrow's diner specials, thinking about hiring another waitress. Normal life stuff. From the outside, we looked like any other family. And maybe after everything, that was the greatest disguise of all. The simple truth that we were exactly what we appeared to be, 3 people who loved each other, who had survived the impossible, and who had chosen to build something real from the ashes of so many lies. The toy truck, the wooden one Eric had made in prison, sat on Liam's shelf, gathering dust. Loopers. Just wood and paint, and the promise of a father trying to make things right. Sometimes I still checked it. Old paranoia dying hard. But it was always just what it seemed. A toy. A gift. A promise kept. We lost everything once. Our identities, our trust, our sense of safety. But in the ruins, we built something stronger. Not perfect. There were still nights I woke up afraid. But we were together. We were alive. We were free. And in a life built on lies, that truth was everything. Call to action. If you discovered your entire life was built on lies, but those lies were meant to protect you, would you choose the dangerous truth or the comfortable deception? Tell me what you think in the comments below. I really want to know your perspective on this one. Thanks for watching. Take care. Good luck.